Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charleston, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys that we definitely want you guys to stick around for. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, I just knew that eventually we were going to produce this particular show here. What am I talking about? We've produced quite a few videos about the relationship or lack thereof between Shannon Sharpe, Ja Morant, and the Memphis Grizzlies. We all know the back and forth, right? We also know that Ja Morant is fully aware of the things that Shannon Sharpe says about him on television. We know that a lot of these guys watch sports shows, and we saw that kind of come to a head at the Lakers game when, you know, they got into that on-court dispute there, and it ended up creating a spectacle. Also, there's a video on Ja Morant's YouTube page, I'm not sure if it's still there, of where he was taking us behind the scenes before he released his new Nike shoe. And in the background, you could hear Shannon Sharpe's voice, you know, kind of talking about him. And then at the end of it, the screen goes black and it goes, block out the noise. So Ja Morant and his camp are fully aware of Shannon Sharpe, and they've had their back and forth. And the latest one was when the Memphis Grizzlies beat the Lakers. After they beat them, they put an image of the night Shannon Sharpe was at the game shouting, and they put an L. They like him pointing up, and they put an L on it, right? So it's a real thing. Now, all of you are aware of the troubling reports that came out about Ja Morant over the weekend. I'm sure a good majority of you guys have already seen the video, right? We don't need to really discuss it here. But I knew that coming into this week, that one of the shows that a lot of people are going to be waiting to hear from was going to be Shannon's Undisputed. And today, right on schedule, it was actually the first topic that they started off their show with. And when it came time for Shannon Sharpe to talk, in the first segment, he kind of kept his composure. But in the second part of it, he just pretty much went off and let his thoughts be crystal clear on what he thinks about the entire matter. So what we want to do is want to play exactly what Shannon had to say here as it pertains to this particular matter. And then we're going to come back and really unpack this thing. Take a listen to what Shannon Sharpe had to say there.
He does need some help, and this is a growth opportunity. So, Shannon, I ask you, and I don't know because they pressed the head coach last night about this. Yeah, about what exactly help does he need? And he would not go into any detail. Is he having some issue with alcohol or drugs? I don't know. It raises the question there of what exactly are your issues going forward? I don't know if you have any thought about that. Do you think he needs just some psychological help? Does he need some counseling? Or does he have some issue that he needs to address?
Well, Skip, this is going to require more schooling that I went to and got and received in my 4-year education, a little over 4-year education at Savannah State. But Skip, I just think the thing is, maybe he's dealing with stress. Maybe this is his way. Maybe he's been threatened, Skip. But see, I don't want to put too much into it. I don't want to say because I think the thing is the NBA, they have security and they know people. So if Ja would have said, I feel threatened, someone is threatening me in the community, he could have gone to the NBA and they could have looked into it. So I don't want to absolve, because now it seems like if we're trying to make excuses for Ja's behavior. And I don't want to do that. And I read what Paul Pierce said, that when I got stabbed, I started carrying a gun. But let me tell you something about this internet, Skip. You start flashing your money, somebody gonna come see you. You start flashing a gun on IG Live, somebody gonna check you and see if you really about that gunplay.
Okay.
Hey, that type of rhetoric over the IG, let that go. Ja, you don't. I mean, why? Skip, why would somebody that has a $231 million want to have gunplay, want to carry a stick like that and then flash it? Look, he has a right. He has a Second Amendment right. But the NBA says, we're not going to infringe on that right.
No.
But you're not going to bring that to the arenas. You're not going to have that at your training facility. And you're definitely not going to bring that on the plane. So that's where he ran afoul with the NBA. And it shows just how tone deaf he is, Skip. You mentioned all the issues, and some of them was involving a gun. And you said, you know what I'm going to do? Even though that article just came out, I'm going to get on IG Live, and I'm going to flash this stick, and I'm going to let y'all know I bang a little bit if I need to. Really?
Really?
But like I said, Skip, he said he's going to step away.
Yeah.
He apologized for his actions. He apologized for his behavior. And hopefully he gets the help that he needs. But I need the people that's closest around him. I need, hey, T, bruh, I need you to be a father, not a fan and a friend.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you haven't, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe you have talked to your son. Maybe others that's close to Ja has talked to him, but it wasn't resonating. Maybe this is what it took for it to resonate and for him to come to the grips and to the gravity of what he did and what was going on in the path that he was traveling down that he didn't need to travel down.
Yep. Okay. Shannon, you have brought this up several times. Is Ja trying to be somebody he's not? Is he trying to be about that life instead of the NBA life? Is he trying to be hard when he's not really hard? And
Skip, how about this here? Can I do you this with Skip?
Yeah.
And I hate to cut you off because I want you to make your point. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he came from the meanest streets of South Carolina. Let's just say he came from the west side of Chicago, the hardest borough in New York City.
Yep.
You made it out. You made it out of there. You can go back to the hood. Skip, if you make it out of the hood, you can go back to buy it, to build it up. But you don't go back after you've made it and deal with the same things you were doing as a child. You had dreams and aspirations. Say, you know, one day I'm gonna get out of here. One day I'm not gonna have to eat this. I'm not gonna have to live like this.
Yep.
And I'm gonna lift my family up. And I'm gonna set my family up for hundreds and hundreds of years to go. You do that. You're in the process of doing that. And for some reason, you say, you know what? Yeah, I done got up out of there, but let y'all know that I'm still about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this all over again.
Right.
It just makes no sense, Skip, because you do everything. If somebody would have told Ja, Skip, let's ask you this. 10 years ago, if somebody said, Ja, by the time you're 24, you're going to have almost $250 million contract from an NBA team. You're going to have a signature shoe, and you're going to be one of the faces of a sports dream. What you think he'd have said, Skip?
Well, I got you.
For real?
Now, if you listen very, very carefully, there was a point where he kind of like started to go in on Ja. And that was the point where Skip was asking when they were talking about, he's stepping away from his team or he's not going to be playing because he needs to get some help. And then Skip started asking the question, help for what? Is it help with X, Y, Z? And then he said, Shannon, what do you think? And then Shannon said, Skip, I don't want to make it too much about that because I don't really know what it is. And by me doing so, it takes away the part of personal responsibility. He's like, what role does Ja play in all of this? That's number one. Number two, he asked the pertinent question, which was, what role is his father playing in it? Has he spoken to him? Has he not spoken to him? Right? He asked that question. But ultimately, it seems like what Shannon was saying was that ultimately, this comes down to Ja. Because number one, as he said, he is the breadwinner. So given the fact that he is the breadwinner, he has to take into consideration all factors. Not just himself, but all of the people connected to him and possibly his family going into the future in terms of building generational wealth. This was one of the points Shannon Sharpe was trying to hammer home. Now, to me, I think all of the points that Shannon made are valid. I personally would not, if I was trying to advise Ja Morant, I would not take the angle of saying to him, bro, you're not hard. You're not hard. Stop trying to prove that you hard. Stop trying to prove that you about it. Stop trying to, I wouldn't do that. You know why? Because in a previous show where we discussed this, I feel like when you take that approach, it does more harm than good. Because generally, if you come at the situation from that angle, that person that's in question may then take that information, at least internalize it, and view it as you trying to attack them. And they may just turn around and say, no, so you really think I'm soft? No, I got to prove it to you. And therefore, the situation doesn't get remedied, and all you did was add more fuel to the fire. So I don't think that's the approach to take, but everyone has their own way of kind of giving advice and talking about it. Is what Shannon's saying, is what Shannon Sharpe saying valid? 100%. It is 100%. To me, as an outsider looking in, I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of, what are we doing here? What are we really trying to accomplish by doing all of this? What's the play here? What play are we running? What play are we actually running? What is this going to lead to? To me, it leads to absolutely nothing positive. But he brought up a good point. When you're young, you think you're invincible. And when you give somebody tens of millions of dollars, you know, it makes it very difficult to get through to that person. And then also, it also makes it difficult for people in your circle to talk to you because they may be afraid. And to me, it goes back to the structure of things, right? We published this on the channel, and I spoke about the importance of the father. And some people said, well, he's a grown adult, right? And there's only so many things that a father can do. To me, I disagree with that. I believe if you as a father, you raise your children and you were there in their life, number one, your children should always have respect for you, no matter what their age is. Respect to me lasts forever. It's eternal. I'm never going to reach the point where I'm like, oh, I feel I'm too big to listen to my father. That just means I'm not raised properly. So respect has to be ingrained in you from a very early age, because if your parents can't talk to you, for God's sakes, who can? Who can? That means that you have no conception of authority whatsoever. You should be able to listen to your parents if they're responsible and they were there for you. And ultimately, you're supposed to respect your parents no matter what. Some people disagree with that. That's them. You know, that's them. As a Christian, I totally disagree with you. If you feel like it's okay to disrespect your parent, that's on you. That's 100% on you. That's your way of living. That's on you. I'm not going to be involved with that type of madness. That's what you feel. That's you. Right. But to me, I think the parents should still play a role. Number two, to me, I think another issue we're having here is the structure of a family. I'm not making this about John Morant. I'm just talking about in general. If you look at certain cultures around the world, a lot of them have like a system in place and a hierarchy in place. And a lot of it is centered on seniority. A lot of it is centered on tenure. And some people are also within a group in terms of a community. So you have your own family, which is its own thing, that's within a larger community where you have hierarchy. And to me, I think one of the benefits of that is when you have something like that, number one, you have structure. Number two, you have checks and balances. If you have an issue in your family, whoever's watching this, if you know that there's somebody you can go talk to resolve the issue between maybe you and someone else, or someone they can talk to resolve the issues within the family, then that family most likely, in most cases, is going to have structure in it. Because there's a hierarchy. This person said this, so therefore we can't do it. We can't do it. And it has nothing to do really with your money. This is the point. I think a lot of people are tying this thing to money. So if you are worth $100 million and your parents are not even millionaires, you don't listen to your parents because you got more money, then that means something wrong with you. Something is fundamentally wrong with you. Fundamentally. Because respect shouldn't be based on that. So to me, I think this is another aspect that's missing. You need a structure in place. You need a structure where somebody can sit you down and say, okay, hey, listen, we gotta talk. In certain cultures, they have elders. So you just don't run around doing whatever the hell you can, doing whatever the hell you want. And if things go wrong, these people step in to remedy situations. I'll give you guys a quick example before we close. There was a scenario that took place. And basically what happened was simply this. There was a guy who was married. And he was married and he was blind. And we found out later on that his wife was stepping out on him. And the gentleman that she was stepping out with was also a nuisance within his own family, and he assaulted his aunt. So this information made it to the elders. They had a meeting. It was about 30 something people, men. Let me say 30 something men. in the meeting. Everybody was talking. Everybody's talking, deliberating. I didn't know what they were saying because they were speaking a particular language. At the end of it, it was like, at one moment, all the guys stood up, especially the younger guys. All the guys stood up and they started going in this direction. I'm like, okay, what's happening? My uncle's like, go with them. So I go there. They get to the guy's house. This guy that did all of this. And they went to his house and they went into his room and they started to throw him out of that house. His things, his bed, everything. They were throwing it out. So I asked my uncle, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? He's like, this is what the elders decided. That what he did was not, they were not going to allow it to stand in the community. So they got him up out of there. And I was like, wow. It wasn't like as if one person stood up and said, okay, let's run to this guy. No, they sat down, they deliberated about it, and then they made a decision, and that's how they handled it.